This is Dana with Novels Alive, and today I have #1 New York Times best-selling author Alyson Noel. How are you today?
Great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. And #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. I mean, how good can that be?
It was a pretty exciting moment, and it still feels a little surreal.
Oh,
yeah.
I bet it does. Now, you write YA, and tell us a little bit about your books.
I have a best-selling series, the Immortals series, and there will be 6 books in total. In fact, the series is ending on June 7th. The final book, Everlasting, will be in stores, so I'm pretty excited about that. You know, the characters got to go through this full journey, and I got to go through it with them. And when I typed the end, which I really do type the end when I finish a manuscript, I thought I would have this moment of jubilation where I'd, you know, throw the papers off my desk and say, woo! And I was surprised how I actually required a moment of silence, because I'd spent so much time with these characters, developing them. I think I talked to them more than I did my own husband. And so the idea that, you know, that their journey was over and that I wouldn't be spending every day with them anymore was a little sad. It was a little bittersweet.
I bet it was.
But I tortured my characters an awful lot, so I'm sure they're happy to have the break from me.
And now you said that you do a lot of hands-on research. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, it's really for the books, but it's a great opportunity to delve into these sort of esoteric subjects that have always interested in me, you know, for the books. I can just call it research, and I don't have to really admit that this is stuff I would love to be doing anyways. Before the Immortals series, Ever is a 17-year-old girl who undergoes a near-death experience, and she comes out of it with psychic abilities. And being a very non-psychic person, I wanted to be able to write that as realistically as I could. So I took a 3-day psychic development seminar with James Van Praagh, who's a world-famous medium and the producer of The Ghost Whisperer, and a lovely, lovely human being. And he was doing it locally, and so it was an opportunity I couldn't miss. And I went in there really like as an outsider, not trying to develop any special gifts you know, that were lurking deep within. I was really in it just, you know, for the character. How would somebody who had these psychic powers, how would they access them? How might that feel? What is it that she would see? And I was amazed to find myself having some of my own sort of unexplainable, you know, telepathy. Especially, we did a couple telepathy exercises, and I was just completely stunned by, you know, how easily I was able to pick up on what people were thinking when you really concentrated and focused on each other. And that, you know, sort of fed into one of the main philosophies in the books, is that everything is energy and it's all accessible if you know how to tune into it. So that was pretty interesting. And then there's also, the book involves themes of reincarnation. So I underwent some past life hypnosis with Dr. Brian Weiss, who's sort of a pioneer in the field, and then another woman who lives locally to me that does these, Christina Gickus. And you know, it was fascinating. And of course, while I was viewing the things I was viewing, you know, the skeptic in me is saying, well, you make up stuff for a living, possibly you're doing this now, and there's no way to know either way. But it was interesting in that everything that I was able to access and that entire experience found its way into the book. And, you know, hopefully it made it a richer, more believable experience for the reader.
That's what I was just going to say. Well, clearly, you know, you're no slouch, so you're doing very, very well. So I would say, you know, your research probably speaks to the writers as authentic.
I hope so, and it was really fun. And so I'm about to start a brand new series Monday when I get home. Soul Seekers. It'll debut in June of 2012, and I'm gonna do some shamanic training courses in May, because it involves themes of shamanism and journeys to the underworld and the upper world. And so it's just another great excuse to take a class I've always, you know, been wanting to take, and hopefully that'll really, you know, be able to parlay the same sort of authenticity to this series like it did with the Immortals. So.
Will you get to travel to someplace really cool like India or something?
Oh, I would love to go to India. It's always been a dream of mine. This particular series will take place in New Mexico. So just 2 weeks ago, I was there for about 8 days of research. I was interviewing teens that grew up there about their experience, because it's quite different from Laguna Beach where I grew up, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So short of moving there, which I would love because it's a beautiful area, but short of that, I wanted to be able to at least visit, take tons of photos, meet people, take notes, and, you know, try to really tap into what that experience is like and what it looks like and what it feels like to be there. So, and again, it's just a great excuse to go back to New Mexico many, many times during the writing of books.
And you can write it off.
Yes, it's strictly
research.
business. It's strictly business.
What kind of fan mail do you get? Because you are a YA author, but that doesn't mean that just young adults are reading you.
Right. YA has had a tremendous growth, as you know, in the last few years, and a lot of crossover readership as well. I think Harry Potter started that whole phenomenon. I was a flight attendant when Harry Potter came out, and I remember, working the first class cabin, and it was like full of men in business suits, and there'd always be at least two of them reading Harry Potter. And I thought, okay, this is something I've never seen before. This is an entirely new phenomenon, and it opened up that section of the bookstore to adult readers, which is fantastic. So I would say at my signings and the correspondence I get, probably 40% is from adults.
I would imagine so.
Maybe higher, I don't know. And it's just terrific, and they'll take the day off work, to go to your signing, and it's just this great community of people, and I just love the way that the stories are more accessible to everybody now, and that people are willing to read about, somebody who's a teenager having this experience, because anyone who survived adolescence can access that time and those feelings, and it's kind of fun to relive it. It's the only way you ever get to relive that again, all those wonderful firsts, that once you've done them, you can't go back, but you can through a book.
Exactly.
That's why it's so exciting, yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming today. It's been exciting to get to know you.
Thanks for having me. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.